And if Shabbos Young Israel, I hope all are well and stay so. Mazel tov to Rav Heshi and Devora Weeder upon the bris of grandson Akiva Moshe, born to parents Tzvi Yaakov and Rivka Meretsky. May Devora and Rav Heshi enjoy continued nachas and good health for the growing mishpacha. Late breaking news, Mazel tov to Rav Eliyahu and Rebbetzin Winselberg upon the birth of a daughter, Tamar. May the Winselbergs enjoy nachas to kedusha l'arch yamim v'shanim tovim from their growing mishpacha as well. Stories told of the Divrei Chayv approximately this time of year, in which there was a particular cause that he had to very quickly raise money for. He approached, traveled to a fellow who was known to be of means, but not necessarily the easiest to convince to part with his money. So he traveled to this individual's community for Shabbos. He comes Friday night. He wasn't there. Comes Shabbos morning, not there. Shabbos afternoon, Motzei Shabbos. Finally, as he's about to leave, he finally is able to locate this individual, and who obviously had spent quite some time trying to elude the Divrei Chaim, and gives him a Shalom Aleichem, and he's respectful to his face at least. And the Divrei Chaim then says, let me ask you a question. How come this week in Parshas Vayeshev, when it comes to Vayimtzo'eyu Ish, that a man found Yosef looking for his brothers, so the Rashi comes from the Medrash. This is a reference to Ish was Gavriel. Yeah, but last week back in Vayishlach, Vayovek Ishimo, the individual struggling with Yaakov. So that is, the Rashi says, is Soro Shalesav. How come one Ish is a good guy, one Ish is a bad guy? How to come this week's Ish gets to be Gavriel, and last week's was Soro Shalesav? Esav's heavenly representative. Said Divrei Chaim, I'll tell you, I look at the psukim. That's this week, the Ish avails himself. Yosef doesn't even ask. He finds Yosef first. And Vayishalehu Ish Lemar Matavakesh, can I help you? What do you need? That's he initiates. He's proactive, as opposed to Sarah Shalesav, as opposed to last week's Ish. Last week's Ish was Yaakov had to beg him for his name, and he wouldn't even give it. And then he had to beg for a bracha. He twists his arm. He has to go. Finally, he'll give the bracha. That's Sarah Shalesav. A Gavriel is one who is forthcoming, who looks for the chesed opportunity, doesn't wait to be pressured, doesn't spend the whole Shabbos eluding people. So that's the difference between Sarah Shalesav and the Malach Gavriel. The Gemara has Masechah Shabbos, but one day apparently the Rebbe didn't make it to Yeshiva, didn't make it to Cheder, and the little kids, a beautiful Gemara, Daf Kuf Daled, gave their own shir, and being that they're little children, they interpreted the Aleph Beis. Aleph Beis stands for Aleph Bina. Aleph as in I'll teach you. Bina, I'll teach you wisdom. What's the wisdom? Gimel Dalet. What does Gimel Dalet stand for? Gimel represents Gomel, as in Gemilas Chasodim, and Dalis represents the Dal, represents the one who is needy. And then the Tinokos explain, according to the Gemara, why is it, my time of the Pshuta Kari de Gimel Agabe Dalis? Why is it that the leg at the bottom of the Gimel kicks out towards the Dalit? So that, you know what the answer is, said the kids? We know, because Darko shel Gomel Chasodim lo rutz achar dalim, because the way of a Gomel Chesed, the way of one who is a Bal Chesed, is not to wait for that opportunity, not to have teeth pulled in like the Gevir in the story of the Divrei Chaim, not to have to wait for it to have to be tracked down, but to follow the example of the Ish in Parshas Vayeshev, the Malach Gavriel, who offers help to Yosef, who's not reactive, who's proactive, because the leg is kicked out towards the Dal. A Gomel Chesed is very different than one who is simply a Bal Rachamim, says the Ber Maim Chaim. A Bal Rachamim is moved. He sees somebody who's sad, somebody who's destitute, he helps. He reacts. A Bal Chesed, a Gomel Chasodim, that leg is kicked out towards the Dalit. because he's not reactive, but follows the example of the Malch Gavriel. He's proactive. Have a very good Shabbos.